Hello, everyone. It's Sunday once again. This is my favorite day of the week, really, because every Sunday I feel really blessed because I get to talk to awesome drummers. Sometimes it's on a Monday, but every Sunday normally is when I do talk to them. Um, uh, it's now 3 minutes till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I know it's still early because we always say it's at 2 o'clock, but our guest is here now, and I'm just really glad, because he's here and I've talked to him, um, offline. So it's 3 minutes till 10 o'clock in the evening in Manila. I hope that some of you, my dear friends, are still up and watching us. Welcome to another episode of Ask the Drummer. This week, I'm just really, really happy because we've got Britpop royalty today, and oh my god, I'm really glad that he said yes to Ask the Drummer, and he's here now. So, my dear friends, please welcome Mr. Nick Banks. Yay!
Hello. Who
Hello.
ever heard of a drummer coming in early?
No. No, I'm so glad that you're here. I forgot to ask you before we can I call you Nick? Or
Uh, Usually it's Lord or King, but today we'll go with Nick.
well, we actually wanted to do Ask the Drummer earlier. Well, it was last year, but you went to Japan. So
Correct,
for
yeah.
yeah, how's Japan? What
Well,
was it?
um, if people haven't been to Japan, they've probably got an idea that it's a bit of a crazy place. And to be honest, it is. It's a bit nuts, certainly for us Western European types. But yeah, it was great. We have played in Japan a couple of times before, but
Okay,
I think it was 1998 the last time we played in Japan. So that's quite a long time
long,
ago.
long time. Yeah.
And previously, it was very much a case of the audiences were, of course, extremely polite and very nice. So they'd listen politely, and then
Yeah.
it'd be a nice clap, and then they'd stand quietly waiting for the next song to start, which for us from obviously from sort of UK etc. is a bit odd. But this time it was a bit different, kids would jump around and there was lots of singing along and stuff like that. So it was a bit more raucous, which I think was good. See the Japanese crowds letting their hair down a bit.
Yeah.
Great.
Do you get to see the country when you tour
A
abroad?
little bit, yeah, because we nowadays we're at that sort of position where we don't have to play sort of 3 or 4 shows back to back, and like we did in the old days, and some members of the group don't like to do that because they certainly Canada's health isn't brilliant sometimes. I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying that. So you generally have a show and then there's a day off for the next show. So you do get a chance to have a little wander around and see things and that kind of thing. So yeah, we did in
Yeah, yeah,
wandering around
yeah.
Tokyo and Osaka is absolutely amazing. I love
Yeah, I
it.
love Japan. It's so cute. It's a cute country, and I really like
It is, yeah. You always see some pretty crazy things, and
it.
we had to have 'cause, my wife came with me, and we were going to go into one of these pet cafes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Millions of obviously in Japan. It's not there's a few in the UK, but not that many. So they've got like mini pig cafe and obviously dogs and cats and all that kind of stuff. But then we chanced upon an otter cafe where you could go and play with otters. So we thought that is something you'll never see back home. And
Yeah, yeah.
we nearly went in, but then we had an earnest and debate between us about the morals of having an otter cafe. And we thought, I bet the people who run the cafe don't look after the otters perhaps as well as they should.
Oh,
So, so we thought long and hard, and we decided against going to see the Otter Cafe in the end because we
yeah.
thought we're not going to pay money to people who aren't going to be nice to the otters. So,
To the otters, yeah. So you
indeed,
didn't go.
no, but we had a moral debate on the street in Tokyo.
Oh, okay. You haven't been to Manila, have you? You
No,
haven't.
sadly not. No, no. I love traveling. I love
Yeah.
going to all kinds of places. There's very few places in the world that I've been to where I've kind of gone, you know what, I don't like that place very much. And I'd love to go to Manila,
Yeah.
sure it's pretty crazy, and they've got some amazing stuff there, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
bustle and all that kind of stuff. I know we met some Filipino girls the other year when we were on holiday, and they were showing us some photographs of some amazing beaches
Oh
and
wow.
scenery, countryside in the Philippines, and it looked fantastic. And I'd
Yeah.
love to be able to go. Love to be able to go.
Well,
With the
any
bit going out.
yeah, well, any gig promoter watching us, I know a couple of
Yeah,
gig promoters
yeah,
in Manila.
mate. Yeah,
Contact Pulp and then get them because there are fans in the
yeah,
Philippines of
absolutely.
Pulp.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So you're in Sheffield right now. You live in
Correct.
Sheffield now. Yeah,
Correct.
because my daughter moved to Sheffield recently. She lives
Oh,
there now, so now I've got a bit of a connection with Sheffield.
excellent. Which part of Sheffield does she live in?
um, God, what's it called? It's near. It's about 20-minute walk from the city centre.
Okay,
In
well, yeah,
there, so
I'm about 20, yeah, 20 minutes, 25 minutes from the city centre. Yeah, so
I'm still not very familiar with Sheffield, but I
I
only go there for
understood. Yes,
gigs. So
it's
yeah,
for a northern British ex-industrial city. It's actually very, very green and verdant.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
the side I live in is quite green and verdant. There's some of it that's quite less green, but yeah,
yeah,
surprisingly,
the only thing I've noticed is the few times that we've been to Sheffield, from Stockport, the
yeah.
road there's no like motorway from Stockport to
Well,
in.
for people that Stockport is kind of a satellite town of Manchester. So Manchester and Sheffield, they're basically 38 miles apart, and two of the largest cities in the UK. And you've got about three very twisty mountain roads that link between them. It's mental. It really is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's the only thing because it's a bit worrying, especially when coming back from Sheffield, driving at night. After visiting my daughter, it's a bit scary.
I love those roads. Though. I really, really, really
Oh,
like.
right. Okay. Neil Barker. Neil is my colleague at Kingby Records. Say hi, Anna. Hi, Nick. Loved your book, Nick. And
Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you.
before I actually officially welcome you to Ask the Drummer, I've got another lovely message from Darren Garrett. He's the drummer of Pram, and
Okay.
he's this is really lovely. He actually sort of like brought a tear to my eye when he messaged this. So
Right.
he said, "Please say a very warm hello from me, Darren. When Pram supported Pulp on the His and Hers tour,
Ah,
I
yeah.
believe that's 1994, Nick was very kind to me and gave me his old drum skins
Right.
every time he changed them.
Yes.
It,
Yes.
yeah,
Hello,
do you
Darren.
remember? Yeah,
How are you doing? Yeah. Strange enough, actually, when I was starting out, there was a band in Rotherham, a punk band in Rotherham called Pram. But I never got to see them. So there
Oh,
you go.
well, he also said that it was a simple act of generosity that has always stuck with me, as they were a luxury I couldn't afford.
Well, yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so he said that you're a truly lovely chant. Well, he can afford drum skins now because he
Great.
gave me one of his drum skins, and
Okay.
it will
Yeah.
be one of my prized possessions. So that's good. So thanks, Darren, for that message. Anyway, so welcome to Ask the Drummer. Episode 164 is all about you, Nick Banks.
Ooh,
So you're born in Rotherham.
that's correct. Yes.
I don't think I have been to Rotherham before, but I always I always, I always look up famous musicians and bands from places because that's how I remember them. Because
Yeah.
originally coming from the Philippines, I want to know who are the famous musicians
Right.
and
Yeah.
bands
Sure. Yeah.
from places. The one thing that when I googled it, top one is Jive Bunny and the Master Mixers. Is that right?
Yes, I'm afraid it is really. Yeah, but I see. I have I have a thing that goes around in my mind called Secret Rotherham, and you meet a lot of people in Sheffield who say they're from Sheffield, and then eventually you get out and they go, "Oh, actually, I was born in Rotherham," and I call it Secret Rotherham, because I think going back to music, is it Chris Wustenholme who is the bassist
Oh
in
yeah, from
Muse?
Muse. Yeah, yeah.
He's a Rotherham lad, you see, and he's doing all right. But yeah,
Yeah. And also another drummer, Matthew Nichols from Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah,
He
well,
came
yeah.
up as one of the
You
famous people.
say Bring Me the Horizon. That was
Yeah.
a Sheffield band. I think
And
it's quite a bit of
uh,
rock in there. Yeah.
Joe Callis from Human League, also from Rotherham.
Oh, right. Oh, right. I didn't know that one
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Another, another example of secret Rotherham there, you see.
It's not just Jive Bonnie and the Master Mixes.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, there you
But
go.
what was Rotherham like when you were growing up?
Awful. Yeah. Well, again, it was a grey, grim, northern British industrial town that probably the only good thing going for it was the road out of it to Sheffield, which also was really a northern British grim industrial town. So yeah, so it's one of those things where the the people who kind of got anything about them who were maybe a bit artsy or into music a bit more or dressing way out, they generally got out of Rotherham and certainly moved to Sheffield to start with. So
Yeah,
that kind of evaporation of the interesting people just kind of left the grit people behind who were perhaps a little bit Neanderthal in their outlooks, let's say. So yeah, when I was growing up, you kind of thought the best thing to do here in Rotherham is get out of it.
did you have any, or do you have any live music venues in Rotherham, or do you always just go to Sheffield?
There's a couple of pubs that put music on, um, but that's about it as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the young people just tend to go to Sheffield and
Pretty much,
Leeds, maybe.
yeah,
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 they
yeah,
would do. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's
And
only
are you
7 miles distance, so it's so it feels almost like it's like a satellite town, almost like a
yeah,
suburb. 7 miles in a lot of countries is like going next door. Uh,
yeah. It's
but
like
in the
Stockport
UK,
to Manchester. Yeah, Stockport to
precisely.
Manchester, 7 miles.
But sometimes in distance of your mind, it can be a long, long, long way.
Yeah, yeah. Are you from a musical family?
No, not at all. No, nobody in our family had any musical talents, desires, thoughts at all. No, nothing at all.
But I found out from Google that you started playing the drums when you're only 14 or 15. Have you always been drawn to the drums, or did you learn other musical instruments?
Not at all. No, no. It was basically a case of punk rock sort of hit our school in 1978. Rotherham is a bit behind the times, you see. So when we were sort of 13, 14, punk rock hit our school, and it's kind of a punk rock cliche that kids would get together and just let's say, right, there's four of us, we're now a band. You've got no instruments, no knowledge, nothing at all, no experience, anything. And literally four kids around a school table sort of said, well, it was because some kids at the other side of the classroom had formed a band. So us at this side, we said, well, we're not letting them be the band. We're going to be a band as well.
All right.
It's literally a case of one lad said, right, I'll play guitar. What are you going to do? And I was like, well, I'll play the bass guitar then. So once you've said you're a band, you are conceptually a band,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
straight away. And um, so then the subsequent weeks and months, everyone sort of scrimped and saved and birthday money and stuff like that to get some instruments, and we got some instruments. And my brother got wind of this, who's a couple of years older than me, and he said, "Well, I fancy being the drummer." All right, okay. So he scrimped and saved, and someone in school was selling a drum kit, so he bought this drum kit. So we had this sort of band, and desperately trying to learn how to play some instruments and try and
Yeah.
make us budding musicians out there. If you are going to get a guitar, buy a tuner because without you have to get it in tune, you're fighting a losing battle. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I had this bass guitar. My brother had the drum kit, and when we were sort of trying to learn, he couldn't really play. You know, he could sort of do that. He could do the hi hat and the snare, but then if he brought the bass drum in, the hi hat and the snare all went wrong. Or he could do the bass drum and the snare, but then if he brought the hi hat in, it all fell to bits. And I sort of would sit there and go, right, you've got to do it like this, you know. And it kind of dawned on me that I could play the drums without thinking about it. And so
Wow.
I said, well, why don't I move on to the drums? And I think my brother sort of said, you know what? I don't think I'm cut out for any of this. So he stopped. So I basically commandeered the drums and realized that that's something I could do kind of effortlessly, really. So it was downhill from then onwards.
Well, did he become the bass player instead? Did he learn
No,
how to
no,
play?
he packed in playing music. He just realised
Oh,
that he wasn't musical whatsoever. So, you know, he didn't bother with that.
yeah. So, after saying that, like, it's really natural to you playing the drums. Because one thing that I always ask the drummers on Ask the Drummers, it really has to be in you. I mean, I know you can learn it, but playing the drums, it's got to be a natural thing. It's got to be in that person, right?
I 100% agree that there is some innate um, thing within us drummers that you can just do it. Yeah, you can practice to get better, or you could, learn different rudiments and techniques and stuff like that. But if you
Yeah,
haven't got that innate, ready baked talent, or well, let's not maybe say talent, but way of doing it, you
it
can just
is.
sit down
Yeah, it
and
is.
play.
Yeah,
Then no matter how much technique you try, you're never going to get very far. Really, I would.
yeah.
You've got to have that internal clock sort of thing.
Yeah, I always believe that it's a natural talent that
Yeah, definitely.
drummers have. So, did you have any drumming lessons?
I've never. You may be able to know, but I've never. May be able to tell rather. I've never had a drumming lesson in my life. Not
Okay.
one. I mean, so, going back to when I first moved on to the drum kit, no one ever suggested, "Why don't you have any lessons?" No one
Okay.
suggested that. Never. I didn't know anybody who taught the drums. There was no, back in 1978, 1979, you didn't go onto Google and sort of, put a request in to your local area for any drum teachers.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So there was never any thought of going to music lessons at school, sort of going to the music department and saying, have you got any drums? I want to learn how to play the drums. There was never any of that. All the music was literally about Mozart, Beethoven, and Brahms.
Yeah,
There was no talk of, and I'm sure
rock
at
and
schools
roll. Yeah,
nowadays it's much broad. Music lessons will be much broader, talking about modern music as well as linking it to the past and all that kind of stuff. Brilliant. But back in 78, 79, Mozart, Brahms, and Liszt, crotchets, quavers, semi-breves, and all that kind of trouser. And so there was no
yeah,
thought of going to the music department saying, "Can you teach me anything like that?" So it was literally, again, that ultimate punk aesthetic of do it yourself. Just sit down
yeah,
and practice, and sort of my drum teacher was the TV basically, and in the UK back in from 1963, four, I think it was, we had a weekly pop show called Top of the Pops, which
yeah,
came out every Thursday evening, which just sort of highlighted the tunes in the hit parade, and people sort of mimed on TV to
yeah,
their hit,
yeah,
and you religiously you'd watch what the drummer was doing and see if you could try and do what he was doing when you went to do your next bit of practice. So you try that and you get. I remember getting cushions out from the sort of the living room and some drumsticks or maybe even knitting needles. And when the drum was on the telly, I would then play the cushions along to see if I could do what that drummer was doing. So that was my tutor really. That was my YouTube.
yeah, yeah. Well, Aiden O'Rourke said that sound and vision great. Aiden is my tech support, so I'm glad that he's here. And he said that yes, it was all Mozart, Brahms, and Beethoven at my
Yeah,
school as well.
yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
um,
Yeah.
So, how your first band, the school band, how
Yeah.
long did it last? Did you actually do any gigs
We
or
yeah we did a couple of gigs. Yeah, my first band, a punk band, we were called Fatal Noise,
Fatal
which
Loss? Okay.
I always thought was a bit of a rubbish name, but given an stick another 40 years on it, I thought it was I think it's a great name for a punk band now. Fatal Noise, great. Look back, you can look them. I think I put some of it on YouTube somewhere, so
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
it is on there somewhere. You can listen to it. My drumming's awful. Don't worry about it. Anyway, but yeah, so yeah, we sort of must have been together for a couple of years, 18 months, a couple of years, that kind of thing. We did our first concert, at a pub just down the way from where we all lived. I think it was someone in my family's party, might have been sort of like a wedding anniversary or something like that. So played to all the relatives, who must have been thinking, "What is this god awful racket?" You know. And so we must have played about 20 minutes. We thought it was great. It was fantastic. You know. Yeah.
Are you still in touch with them?
We
Did
had a
they come?
reunion drink last year or the year before.
Oh,
Yes, yes, we went to the pub where we played, and we had a few drinks, and we met some other guys, and just we'd not seen each other for, well, I think a couple of the guys. I went on to do A levels at college next door. They went and got jobs, so that's when the band fizzled
oh, I
out.
see. Okay. Yeah.
So I've not seen them really since then. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was like catch up on 40 years of stuff.
Wow. What did
Great.
they think? What did they think of you being in Pulp now and you being
Well, they were.
famous?
Well, everyone was everyone was really positive and nice, and just saying, yeah, you made it, basically. You're the one person who escaped and managed to do that, which,
Yeah.
yeah, by luck, fortune, being in the right place at the right time, all those kind of cliches,
Yeah.
being just about good enough, let's say.
No.
you know
Well, I also found out that you were other bands like One Stop the World
yeah,
and Jazz
yeah.
with the double S and not double Z.
Double S, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
And but on your Wikipedia entry, not Wikipedia, Discogs entry,
Mm,
there's a band called the Vicious Circles, and
indeed.
yeah, and I looked at the entry of the Vicious Circles. They
Yeah.
released one, uh, which is not. It's not physical copy. It's I think
Right.
MP3 or something.
I think there might have been another band called the Vicious Circles, but
Oh, okay. So,
I was never actually in Vicious Circles. That were this sort of the Sheffield band, will have been about 1980. But I was in their photographs because I had a good hairdo, and they said, will you be in the photographs rather than actual drum?" Because I had a wild hairdo, like this. Why not?
because the one that they released is actually a demo from 1983, but the credits
Yeah.
it didn't have your name there as the
No,
drummer. It's
that's
just
it. Yeah,
Ian Lambert.
that's right, Ian. Yeah, yeah. He was bald.
Oh, okay. That's
That's
why
not
they
that
wanted you.
bad. Yeah,
That's why they wanted you there.
yeah.
So
That things you do. Yeah.
yeah, do you want to tell something about One Stop the World and Jazz?
Well, Jazz were kind of a experimental sort of instrumental type band. If you know the David Byrne and Brian Eno "My Life in the Bush of Ghosts"
Oh,
album, it
yeah.
was kind of a bit similar to that, using bits of cut up dialogue and stuff like that over sort of
Okay. Yeah.
uh, music. But that was my first ever release of me playing on a record, was because Jazz had a record out on the American label Wax Tracks called Theme
Oh,
WR, and by the time that came out, I'd left Jazz um, to join this other group, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute,
yeah.
and I finally got this record. I thought, oh, finally, I'm on a piece of vinyl. So I put it on, listened to it, and thought, I'm not on this at all. I think all my contribution had been wiped off.
Remote.
I think you can just about hear a cymbal crash, and I think that might be me hitting that. So I was a bit crestfallen, thinking that my first appearance on vinyl was there, and then like no, it's not. But again, there's some that might be on YouTube as well somewhere.
Okay.
AASS theme brackets WR. Yeah.
Okay.
Out for the
And
cymbal crash. It's really good.
and One Stop the World. Is that also
Yeah,
from the 80s?
yeah. Again, that didn't really last particularly long. That was kind of in a sort of industrial funk kind of vein, which was in the sort of mid-ish 80s, was getting quite vogue in the UK.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, sort of going on that, and yeah, again, when I was in Moscow, I must have been in about three or four, like, along with like Jazz, One Stop the World, various, must be about three or four bands, kind of at the same time, because there was always lots of bands, and you knew because you kind of all went to the same places in Sheffield, so
Yeah.
you knew all the sort of musician-y types, and you always, oh, can you just come play with us at this gig, or can you just try on this, so you were in loads of different bands all at the same time.
Yeah. Well, before I actually ask you about Pulp, because
Mm.
that's the main thing.
It is.
There are also two others, because I think this was during when the time when Pulp was all like had a break or something. There's one called Pollinates, which
Yep,
the only
yep,
thing I can find is a Sheffield band, but I
yep.
can't really find any other information about
No,
Pollinates.
they probably wouldn't be. Again, that was after when Pulp were sort of, in hibernation. An old friend of mine who was the singer called Paul Infante, who, strangely enough, I've just met his dad in the park, by the by.
Oh, okay.
And and yeah, he just sort of said, "Yeah, do you fancy coming and doing some stuff?" So I listened to it. I thought it was really good. So yeah, but again, that was sort of 40-year-old blokes. There was, I think, there was 7 of us in the band, and
Oh,
it ended up being really difficult to get everyone together at the same time, because you say, "Oh, shall we rehearse on Tuesday?" And people go, "Oh, I can't Tuesday. I've got to
oh,
go." So, "Oh, I'm looking after the kids." All right, and it was so we did a bit, played a few gigs. I thought the music was really good, but again, it just lots of bands kind of just fizzle out, don't they? The
yeah,
rules
yeah,
kind of evaporate away, and
yeah.
on something
Although
else.
the one that you were involved in is called, and they're good. I just had a look. They're actually touring this year. Called the Everly, sorry, the Everly Pregnant.
Heavily Pregnant Brothers, that's right. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah, the Everly
uh,
Pregnant.
yes. We don't play Everly Brothers songs. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just me and some friends. Um, yeah, we go out and play gigs. It's very much tongue in cheek entertainment. Um,
Okay.
songs songs that we use, songs that but the lyrics are changed. Usually quite sweary.
Oh,
Usually very anti Leeds, the other northern British city, because of the Sheffield Leeds rivalry kind of thing.
oh, yeah.
It's just light-hearted fun and a chance to get out of the house on a Thursday evening and go and rehearse with the lads.
Oh, okay. So you still play
So,
with it?
yeah, yes, we'll play with them. Yeah, yeah.
And
And
are
I
you
use it.
going to be touring with that?
Well, we're playing a few gigs around the north of England.
Oh,
That's
okay.
kind of
All right.
thing. And I play standing up with them. Bit of stand-up kit.
Oh, I see. Okay, you don't do ukulele because the one thing it says is like a ukulele band
Yeah,
or
yeah, there
something.
were these. Yeah, there's three ukulele players in the group. Yeah, yeah. So it's yeah,
It's a brilliant name. When I was
yeah.
looking, I was actually thought, did I get it right? Everly Pregnant
That's
Brothers
right. Yes. Again, there's lots of heavily pregnant stuff out on YouTube and that
on
kind of.
YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. Check it out.
Okay. Well, now we're going to talk about Pulp
Yeah.
because my earliest memory of Pulp was actually when I was in the Philippines. And this was like when I was maybe 16 or 17. In the Philippines, we don't get UK magazines, but sometimes we get old ones, like 1 year or 2 years or even 3-year-old magazines. And
Right.
I remember reading about Pulp. This must be like maybe before you were a member of Pulp.
Okay. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
the one thing that really stuck in my mind is the image of Jarvis Cocker. He's like
Mm.
this thin guy, very tall and looking a bit nerdy.
Oh,
That,
very
that,
nice.
that's that's my first sort of like encounter with Pulp. And being in the Philippines, I don't think they ever. I don't even remember hearing a song. It's just a magazine that I bought
Right.
like
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
or 4 years.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
it'd be so difficult to access any pulp music before the internet, wouldn't it?
yeah,
Anyone would
yeah,
have to,
yeah.
buy a very expensive import record that, I mean, no one bought them in Britain, so the chances of getting them out to the Philippines is next to impossible. So there you
Yeah,
go.
well, but then fast forward 1995, when I was living in the Middle East, I was watching a music program called Channel V. There's Channel V, so like TV program in the
Okay.
UAE, and then Common People came on,
Mm.
and it says Paul, and I saw the singer, and it was like,
Right, yeah.
it can't be him,
They're
because
still going. How's that happened?
he's gorgeous in that video, Common People, and then. I
Yes,
was
things
like,
change.
that was a transformation, sort of like
Oh,
from
yeah,
the
yeah.
80s. I remember Jarvis Cocker, and then this Pulp guy doing
Yeah,
Common People.
yeah,
But anyway,
absolutely.
that was just my earliest one. So you joined Pulp in 1986, and
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
you've always been a fan,
Yeah,
because
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. It
yeah,
was I first saw Pulp in 1983, I think it was. And I was yeah, absolutely blown away by the performance that I saw. Was they were playing the It album, and it was completely going against all the music I was listening to at the time. The if people listening know the It album, they know that it's not Killing Joke. You know, so it was. I was listening to this quite heavy, heavy music, sort of post punk type stuff.
yeah,
Uh, there's Jarvis and the rest of the guys playing acoustic guitars and pianos and flutes, and I think they even had a trombone and things like that. It was just like, this is not what I'm listening to back home, but I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I really thought it was amazing. And of course, you got this singer who did something that seemed quite revolutionary for a local band, and he actually spoke and talked to the audience, and was funny, engaging, all that kind of stuff. But that actual act of actually talking to the audience was something people in local bands just didn't seem to do, and other bands didn't seem to bother whether they had anything to say or not. So you just thought, and then after that, we try and go and see Pulp as often as we could
oh,
when we sort of played in sort of Sheffield area,
yeah,
And
yeah,
so yeah, became a fan, and then one day I was in the Sheffield venue, the Lead Mill, which is still going, and there
yeah.
was a tiny scrap of paper stuck to the notice board. Pulp want drummer, and that moment was just like, that's the job for me.
Were you in the band at the time?
Yeah, but it was always amorphous kind of thing. Bands, people came and went loads of
Oh,
times.
okay.
No one was releasing records or doing you gigs to 10 people. That's about as good as you get. So
Mm,
so when you see a chance like this, you don't let it go by. I saw this
yeah.
and immediately stopped me dead in my tracks and thought, oh my god, that is the job for me. That is the band for me, because I think um, one thing going out to aspiring drummers out there, try and join the best possible band you can. And I was a fan of the band. I knew Jarvis a little bit, and so one thing I didn't do, though, I didn't take the piece of paper off the wall, which I should have done. Then no one else would be able to apply for
Oh,
it.
yeah, of
You know,
course.
didn't think of that, did I? So I can't even remember writing the number down, but I must have done. Must have done. And then I never rang the number. Because I think that night I went to the Lead Mill anyway to maybe see a band, or maybe there was a club night or something. And
Yeah.
who was in the bar waiting for a drink? But Jarvis. So I knew him a little bit. So I sidled up and went, Jarvis, here you're looking for a drummer. Yeah, we're looking for a drummer. So, well, can I have a go? And he kind of went, Yeah, all right. And so we arranged to meet up sort of at the weekend for a kind of audition, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But fast forward to about a year ago when we were rehearsing for, no, further back than no, about a year ago when we were rehearsing for the series of concerts we did last year.
Yeah.
I said, I sat having a cup of tea with Jarvis. I said, Jarvis, you know, when I joined the band and I we had that audition, I said, did anybody else apply to be the drummer? And he sort of wistfully looked out the window and just went, no. And then I think he said to someone at an interview, he said, "Well, if I'd known what he was like, he probably wouldn't have got the job." But we'll take that with a pinch of salt, you know. So anyway, so I said, "Yeah, can I have a go?" He said, "Right, well, why don't you come and meet us up at the rehearsal garage at this area of Sheffield called Intake, which is quite a rough area." And so I went up on the Sunday afternoon or something, and I found the address and sort of went into the yard. And as I approached the door, I could hear this almighty commotion of dogs barking behind the door. So I'm thinking, okay, this is a little bit strange. So anyway, knocks on the door, and the door opens like a crack, and it's Jarvis. He goes, "Oh, it's you, right? Quick, get in!" And so he pulls me into the kitchen, and in the kitchen is this little white dog, like a like a bull terrier type, like a muscular little vicious dog, running
Yeah.
around the kitchen table, going bananas. And then at the other side of the other door, going into the rest of the house, was another dog, the Cocker family dog, called Bonzo, going equally mental. So we've got these two dogs barking. Thinking, what the hell is going on here? So Jarvis goes, look, the problem is this white dog has followed me home, and I can't get rid of it. I'm thinking, oh, okay, plausible story. So he said, before we can do anything, we need to get rid of this dog. All right, okay, fair enough. I'm all ears. So let's. So I said, well, what's the plan? He went, why don't we walk around the streets, and then when the dog stops to sniff a lamppost or sniff a tree, we can run round the corner and escape, and the dog won't find us. Brilliant plan. This is going to work. Yes, great plan. So we set off round the streets, and this dog dutifully following us, he'd stop to sniff a lamppost. We'd run round the corner. The dog would run round the corner and find us pretty straight. Because obviously, neither me or Jarvis are particularly athletic, so we didn't run very fast or very far, to be precise. So the dog was kept following us. We couldn't get. So we walked around for maybe, I don't know, half an hour or something. Couldn't get rid of the dog. So eventually, we had to deploy the nuclear option, which was pick the dog up and put it behind somebody else's fence, and then so basically we did that. We picked the dog up, stuck it behind someone else's fence, and ran off the other way. The dog was last seen with its head through the bars of the fence, barking at like this.
Oh no.
So apologies to anyone who found a white dog that day in 1986 or whatever.
But did you ever find out who owned the
No,
dog, or was it no?
no,
Oh,
we just had to get rid of the dog and leg it off. So we got back to the house, and Jarvis basically looks at his watch and goes, "Oh, we haven't really got any time left now. My grandma's putting the tea on, so I'm gonna have to go and have my tea." So it's like, oh, right. Well, that was a great audition, but it was a great audition in a way because um, it doesn't matter about the actual playing. I knew I could do the pulp job. I knew that. I knew it'd be fine.
yeah.
Um, but see, because we're walking around the streets, we spent 40 minutes talking, talking about music, about people would have been all sorts. So, and I think that when you're in a band, you've kind of got to get on with each other. And
Yeah.
because then you might say we might have had the audition, and Josh might go, right, yeah, you can play, you're in the band, but then 6 months down, I think you might think this kid's a right dickhead, you know, we don't, we're gonna have to, get someone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So we had that chance to talk about people and music and all that kind of stuff, and that
Oh.
was probably better than
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
And
probably, if it heard me play it, but I said no, not good enough. Yes.
and you being a fan of pop, you already know the songs anyway, so it's
Well,
very
yeah,
easy
and
to.
but strangely enough, it was just about when the Freaks album was released, when the band had kind of split. So the music that I ended up working on was all brand new. It was all brand new music, which
Okay,
went on
yeah.
to become the Separations album. And Jarvis had in the time before, he'd had this incident where he fell out of a window, a first floor window, and broke his legs and things. So he was in hospital for a while, and I think his grandma gave him this little portable Casio keyboard to keep his mind, from getting
Yeah.
too bored while he was recovering in hospital. And so he wrote a load of songs that became the Separation album on this little blinky keyboard, and that's the
Oh,
song that worked.
nice. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there you go.
There you go. I've received several questions
Yeah.
about the early days of Pulp, or early years of Pulp. One of them is from John Tarbett Walker.
Hmm.
He said he's wondering if you remember. No, this is not early, but it's actually 1995. He's wondering if you remember the problems at Bridlington Spa gig.
I
That's
do.
1995. After you released Sorted for Ease and Wiz, and security at the venue were checking everyone going in for drugs.
Yeah.
Many actually missed out. They missed the start of the set, but he was very lucky because he got there early.
Yeah.
So, and then he sent me clippings, and apparently the local council tried to have the show banned
Indeed.
because
Yes.
you were accused of encouraging young people to take drugs. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember it. Yeah, the security were really heavy-handed, searching everyone, because obviously, sort of reason was could be construed as a drug song, but it does touch on the subject of drugs, but it
yeah?
also touches on the subject that for every great drug high, there's also going to be a drug low.
No, yeah, yeah,
It does touch on that, and as per the usual of the British, gutter press, they see one thing and then immediately think that's what it's about, and then these pulp kids must be banned because they are promoting the use of drugs. Obviously, the having a drugs wrap on the cover of the sleeve maybe wasn't the best idea, but hey, there you go.
there
Um,
you go.
so yeah, there was a lot of argy-bargy at that concert.
Yeah,
But I think my favourite memory from that concert at Bridlington was that we kind of got to the end of the set, and Steve, who's no longer with us, all of a sudden threw his bass guitar off and dived into the audience, which is something no one of us ever would do. To basically go and thump some bloke down the front who'd been giving Jarvis a lot of heckling throughout the concert.
oh god, oh
Truth is, at this stage, because of various things, we had a security guy called Colin, who was huge. He was almost it was a huge bloke. Really, I'd be doing Colin a disservice if I said he was fat. It was big. It was a big lad. But then as Steve jumped into the audience, this huge 6'6" West Ham fan came flying over after Steve, who was calling our security, to go and have a chat with the person who was giving Jarvis some grief. Save Steve. So basically, got Steve by the scruff of the neck in one hand and having a conversation with this other bloke with the other hand. Steve was, but and all while this is happening, we're still trying to play bar Italian we could, try and keep it together while thinking, what the hell is going on? So that was the Bridlington gig
that
as
was a
well.
very
All in all, quite an exciting evening.
and, and apparently there were several arrests as well. Is that because of
Well, possibly that might have been, there may have been kids with illicit contraband
all
on
right?
them. got picked up
Yeah,
by.
yeah,
And I think some kids were thrown in the cells for the evening, possibly not for unjustified thoughts.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, the next question is from Richard Farnell. Richard is a bass player of the Sun Charms. I think the band from Sheffield.
Yes, the sunshine.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
memories.
and he's also the owner of Vinyl Exchange in Manchester, the record shop.
Yeah, okay,
But
yeah.
anyways, he said that he's seen Pulp many times over the years. He's from Sheffield, and he has particularly fond memories of two shows you played at the Hallamshire Hotel in 1991. He
Yes.
said that he said that it really felt to me that those gigs were a bit of a turning point for the band.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he also attended the balloon launch event for the OU Gone
Yes.
Gone
Yes. Yes. Yes.
single on Devonshire Green in 1992, and he said that in his memory hardly anyone was there.
Yeah,
He,
that was probably very true. It was probably there, yeah. Well, it was kind of done as a publicity stunt anyway, to some photographs for the Enemy and Melody Maker and that kind of thing.
okay,
Yeah,
well, he said,
you got to try
yeah,
stuff. But yeah, how's this for a coincidence? I was in the very room that concert was played at the Hallamshire Hotel in '91 last night. I was in the very
oh,
room. Yeah.
so
Yeah,
it's still the Hallamshire Hotel
yeah.
is still
Yes,
alive.
and they
Okay.
still have bands on in that room. It's all been done up quite nicely at the moment. So when we played there, it was a bit of a
Oh,
how would you politely put this, shithole? But
oh,
fine,
okay.
fine. So yeah, I think because we knew that in 1991 we could play venues much larger than Hallamshire, but we thought we'd play it as a kind of a farewell to the Hallamshire because we knew we'd never be playing there again. And Pulp had played there loads of times, and it was where I actually first met Jarvis was there because I was the 17-year-old promoter of the gigs at Hallamshire for about a year or something like that. And
Oh, okay.
Jarvis and his friend Tim used to come and sit on the top step just before you got into the sort of the venue, and we'd be there. I'd be sat there, taking the 50p that people would pay to go into the concert, and he'd sit at the
Yeah,
top step, and I'd be like, "Are you going to watch this band or not?" And he'd just be, he'd sort of say, "Oh, can we just sit here instead?" I think they were a bit too tight to put 50p in the tin and go in, so they'd sit and listen to the bands and have a roll up cigarette. So you got to know Jarvis a little bit like that.
yeah.
But yes. So that gig we played twice because lots of people wanted to see us. So I think we did like an early show, filled it, chucked everyone out, and then filled it again. So we played twice. And I know that someone videoed it, but the video has gone missing. So if you're out there,
Oh no.
yeah, I thought it was with this guy Pete, who I know lives down the way. But I've asked him, and he said, no,
That's
I haven't
not.
got it. Maybe it got
So it,
contact, which I would love to see that bit.
so it hasn't appeared on YouTube. Nothing on YouTube
No,
about it.
no,
Oh,
I
okay.
remember it. I remember the guy filming it with the camera.
Yeah.
In fact, how about this for another coincidence? The guy who filmed it lives across the road,
Oh wow.
isn't it?
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh yeah, I remember that. I gave the tape to Pete, who lives half a mile away, but Pete has got no recollection of having it.
Oh, that's a shame.
Lost. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of not many people turning up at your gig. For that 0202 Gone Gone, but this OU Gone Gone, sorry, OU Gone Gone.
Yeah.
Is it really true that only two people turned up at your gig at the 20th Century Club in Derby? Just two people? And this was in 1987?
Yeah, I'd have to look on the Pulp Wiki site where the date 87 or something like that. Yes, so yeah, we went to play this club, and the audience, it wasn't actually two. There's only two paying guests. I think there might have actually been 7 in the audience because
Okay.
a car full of our friends drove the 40 miles from Sheffield down. But obviously, they didn't pay to go in. But these two
Okay.
girls turned up, and sort of, I think they must have got the wrong night or something. These two girls turned up, paid their £1.50 to get in or whatever, and politely sat and watched us play the because we still played the show. Doesn't matter, even if no one turns up, we still play the show. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then just sort of disappeared off. I would love to know if they remember the gig. I'd love to, love to know if they remember the gig, if they, thought it was any good, or indeed if it was that they
Yeah.
were on the wrong night to see the wrong band.
So it hasn't been appeared on social media saying, I remember them when there were only two of us on.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm not seen. So again, if anyone knows, let me know.
Jonathan Preston said good afternoon to you and Neil as well. So okay, one more question from this time is from Jack Harkins. Jack is in a band called Autocampa and he's from Autocampa, they're a Manchester band, and is a Preston band. And he also works in Vinyl Exchange with Richard Farnell. His question is, what's your top three stories about working with Scott Walker? Because he's just been reading your book,
Oh,
and
good.
he really enjoyed it. He said anything about Scott Walker.
Well, he was very quiet. Very sort of kept himself to himself. But there weren't really many particularly funny stories that aren't in the book. So I mean, obviously, he'd always have a cup of water, near the mixing desk, which is a bit asking for trouble if you ask me. If he spilt that, I mean, he'd have his cup of water, but he'd always have a napkin on the top like that. So I don't know whether he thought we were just scruffy northern oiks who were a bit mucky. I don't know, but he was right, and I remember him saying put some lead in your ass when I was doing a take, and I'm kind of like, okay, Scott, yeah. I didn't know what that meant. Play
What?
slower,
Yeah, what does that mean?
heavier, play faster, and you didn't, because to us Scott Walker was such a iconic figure. You didn't really want to say, "Oh, what do you mean, Scott? I don't understand." So you just kind of played what you just played and just think, "Oh, let's hope that's a bit more lead in my ass," kind of thing. Because, because certainly me, Jarvis, Steve were real Scott Walker fans. And
Yeah,
when you had the call from our manager Jeff saying, "Yes, yeah, Scott Walker wants to produce the album," it was like, "Oh my God, yes, of course, that sounds fantastic."
yeah, yeah,
So everyone was a little bit in awe of Scott in the studio, and usually in studio there can be a bit of arguments and debates and that kind of stuff, and people saying you're wrong and that's do that. But anything that Scott suggested was genuinely done, because it was like, if Scott wants it, Scott's going to have it.
yeah, yeah.
But he was lovely, Scott Walker, and it was great. It was great to work with him. And you would just, you sort of, you sat doing your takes and the other side of the studio glass, and it was really difficult to banish from your mind the thought that, oh my God, I'm playing for Scott Walker. And because as you know, in this show, you've got to concentrate on what you're doing.
Yeah,
Concentrate, concentrate, concentrate. Stop thinking that, oh my God, Scott Walker's the other side of that glass, looking at you under the cap of his baseball cap. That was really, really difficult to try and do. But yeah, absolutely amazing
I,
to do it. No, yeah.
I need to look up that expression and find out
Yeah,
what it
put
means.
some lead in your ass. Oh, all right,
Yeah.
what do you say, mate?
Well, going back to that Derby gig where you only had two paying guests watching you, 1987. I think that's what it says in your wiki,
All right,
the
yeah.
pop wiki.
I will
And
know.
then 8 years later, in 1995, you played to 100,000 people when
Yeah,
you headlined
yeah.
Glastonbury. And apparently, I mean, I just found out about this actually. It's only because John Squire fell off his bike, so the Stone Roses weren't able to headline that
That's right.
year.
Yeah. The Stone Roses big comeback with their
Yeah,
second album, Second Coming. The big comeback, Stone Roses. So John Squire falls off his mountain bike somewhere, breaks his collarbone. Obviously, broke collarbone, you can't play. So it's literally, the shit hitting the fan at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Stone Roses can't play. Who are we going to get to headline on the Saturday night? That's quite a nightmare. So, apparently, we think some names were banded about. I don't think we were first choice by a long, long chalk. But again, Jeff, our manager, rings up. Hey, yeah, Nick, yeah, Glastonbury want you to headline the Saturday night. Do you want to play? Like, yes, thanks. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. It was, one of those moments where you think, oh my God, it's an earthquake going off here. So, yeah. So we had literally 2 weeks to sort of rehearse. So we were recording different class at the time, or I think it was being mixed. So it was a case of, we could set up in the live room at the studio, and so
Yeah.
Chris Thomas could continue mixing. We'd rehearse, and then you'd traipse through every couple of hours, listen to some mixes, and then go back to rehearsing. So yeah, it was quite a scary moment. How about this for a fun fact though? We played the concert before we played Glastonbury. We played with Oasis at Sheffield Arena, and we only got that gig because the Verve's guitarist punched someone, breaking his hand.
Oh
There's
God.
2 gigs through 2 broken bones of the band.
Well, it's like
Something.
I do believe that things happen for a reason. If it's meant to be,
Mm,
then it's
yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Have you actually met John Squire and thanked
No,
him for?
no, no, yeah. I remember I met Manny, the bass player, and we had a good laugh about that. So,
Well, Neil said that was the only time he's been to Glastonbury, and Pulp were definitely the highlight. So,
brilliant. Yeah. Well, that's good. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well done. Yeah. It was. Yeah. It was something else. It really was.
wow. Good. Well, 30 years from since Glastonbury. This year you're doing an arena tour.
Yeah.
And I just looked it up. You're playing in Glasgow, Dublin, London, Birmingham, and Manchester on the 21st of June at the Club
Yeah.
Live. I
Yeah.
love that venue. I think that
That one
venue
not
is
been yet. Yeah. So. Not
amazing. Yeah, I'll try to be there. So,
been.
how often do you rehearse for this? Because it's in June, so you've only
We
got
do, well,
like,
we're all meeting up on Tuesday. We're on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. We're doing some rehearsing. Um, yeah, so yeah, we'll do a bit. The rehearsals will sort of come together, a bit nearer the time, because obviously we've from playing last year. It's all in there.
yeah.
It's just seeing, trying to. In fact, strangely enough, I can't show you because it's classified information. Actually,
Okay.
in front of me, I've got a list of 7 songs that we didn't play last year that we're going to try and rehearse up. But I can't tell you what.
Okay. All
Whether,
right. Well,
whether one or any of them will actually get played, who knows? Who knows?
okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah, lots of people would like to see this list, I'm sure. But anyway, there you
um,
go.
that's another question I wanted to ask you because doing Ask the Drummer, I was made aware about. I didn't know about this at the time, but do you know when you've been playing for a long time, and Pulp, of course, have been
Yeah,
playing for a long time, you've got loads of songs that you can choose, and
yeah,
curating a set list.
yeah,
Apparently, it's like an art in itself because
indeed.
it has to be agreed by all the members of the band. So,
Not
so
necessarily, no. Not necessarily. Obviously for the shows last year, you know, obviously there was a lot of visuals and stuff. So I would have liked the set to be a bit more varied between concerts. But obviously you got the visuals and stuff
yeah,
marrying up with various songs. So it was quite difficult to take a song out and put a different one in there because it might not have got any particular visuals to go with it. So that was a bit difficult.
okay,
So
yeah,
hopefully the next arena show will be able to chop and change a few songs and keep different visuals and things like that. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I mean there is a lot of songs to choose from. But then we
yeah.
know there's always going to be certain songs that we play at every concert because they
People,
are
yeah,
our best songs, and they are what people pay
what
their
people want,
money to
yeah,
go and
yeah,
sing
yeah,
along to, dance along to, whatever. You're going to get Common People, Babies, Do You Remember the First Time, This Is
Yeah,
Hardcore,
yeah.
etc. You know you're going to get all those, and because they're so, they are, obviously I'm biased, but obviously they're such great songs. I've never tire of playing them.
Do you have a particular one that you don't play, but you wanted to sort of like put on the set list, but
Um, Not particularly, because I
no,
think that the ones that we play at virtually every concert, they are
they're the ones that you want
our
to.
best bunch, and rightly so. I mean, we don't play Razzmatazz as often, perhaps as I'd like to, because I think it goes down really well. And me and Mark were chomping to play Bad Cover Version a lot last year, because we both really like that tune, but it
Yeah,
didn't get played again as much as I want. But there you go. That's I'd play a longer set to be able to put other songs in, but some people, I mean, Jarvis puts a shift in every single concert. So if by at the end of 90 minutes he's feeling a bit shattered, then
that's
that's
it.
fair enough. We're not
Yeah,
going to be doing a Bruce Springsteen or a Cure playing 4 hours,
yeah,
that kind of thing. But of course, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
don't want to
Well, hopefully,
kill the
yeah,
thing. That'd be bad news.
yeah. Okay, well, yeah. Well, good luck with the tour, with the arena tour, because
Yeah.
hopefully I can get to see you at the Cope live, because I really like that place as well.
Oh
But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about this book.
That's my
So
book. There's
it
me.
started,
There's
yeah.
me. Right
So
there.
it started there, from Punk to Pulp, Nick Banks, and Neil said that he really enjoyed reading it. I just looked it up, and I couldn't believe that it was actually 2 years, nearly 2 years ago now, when it was when
Crackers,
it
isn't it?
was,
Crackers.
yeah,
Crackers.
because it was the day before my 54th birthday, because I thought it was only last year. It was
Me
like,
too. Time flies. Time
yeah,
flies. Uh,
yeah,
Strangely enough, I've just last week I spent a lot of the week sat in a dark wardrobe reading the book out loud for the audio book, which should be out in the
oh,
non too
okay.
non too
Are you
distant
gonna
future.
be doing more book events?
I don't think so, because obviously with playing and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
it does
yeah.
soak up a lot of time. I don't think there'll be, certainly there's nothing planned.
Okay, because I saw you that September 2023, and also during the Louder Than Words festival in
Yeah,
Manchester,
yeah.
uh, in November. I just couldn't believe. I thought it was all like last year, but it
I
was
know. Yeah,
nearly 2 years ago
yeah,
now. So, well, yeah. So anyone out there, so if you're interested, you can
yeah,
still get
yeah.
this. You can still get this
Yeah,
all bookshops.
it's all
Or
it's all true. Everything in there's true as well.
yeah,
Apart
and
from the line where it says I was brought up in a council house, because my mother read it and she went, "Your father would turn in his grave if he knew you thought you grew up in a council house." They bought the house themselves. It wasn't rented from the council, which is a British term for a council house. But I have to say, in the audiobook, I've changed. I think in some of the later issues, changed to a council-like house. So, which is a subtle difference. Subtle
oh,
difference.
okay.
Hey, the rest of it's true. The rest of it's true. I
Yeah.
didn't grow up in council house.
One thing that's really brilliant about your book is this QR codes. Have
Yes,
you patented it?
I
It's
haven't. I haven't painted it, but it's when, because I like reading rock biogs.
yeah,
Uh, I like them, but then you might read about a band or someone in a band that
yeah,
you might not be completely all over their catalogue. So you might be reading about an early record, but you can't. It's like, all right, I'm going to put the book down, go on the computer, get on YouTube, look at it, listen to the song, and then go back to it. You're never going to do that. But we've all got our phones. We've all got our phones with us, haven't we? So,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
when I was in the pub talking to a mate of mine who's into his tech and all that, and I was explaining this problem, I thought, well, I thought, could you make a book that kind of has got like a button on the spine? So, you'd get to chapter 15, you could, somehow press a button to do with chapter 15, and the book would play music to you of what you're talking about in that chapter.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
my initial idea, and it's kind of going, yeah, that sounds like it'd be really expensive. He said you could probably do it, but he said it sounds like it would be make the book really expensive. And he just sort of went, why don't you just do a QR code and then people can just scan their phone and that QR code will take you to a playlist, Spotify play, or a video and that kind of thing. I thought, of course, that's the perfect idea. I had to fight for it though with the publishers because they didn't want me to do it because they said, oh, there's going to be lots of problems with copyright and all this kind of stuff. But eventually I said, look, if we're going to do this book, I want to do this because I've never ever seen anybody do this.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think one said, "Oh, I think I might have seen something in like a technical manual where to take you to you do a cue card and takes you somewhere else, but not in a story about someone."
autobiography. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And I just thought it's perfect because you talked about different songs and things like that in your in the book, and I want people to be able to actually listen to those songs.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, there's one that will lead you to a documentary about Sheffield music. They
yeah,
would.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
it can,
so.
yeah, so it takes us. I think there's a Spotify playlist for
Yeah,
each chapter and various videos that I just cribbed off YouTube again.
yeah.
Yeah, so
That's absolutely amazing. I think you should really apply for a patent for it, and then it's you who's
I
marketing
can't be asked.
it.
Can't be asked for stuff like that. Let other. I want to be able to pick up, a book about someone in a band, and they'd done it as well, so I could look at the QR codes. So there, get on with it.
Well, okay, I know it's over an hour now, but I wanted to ask you about, because when you're not touring, this I only found out when I was writing the script about
Yeah,
astronaut. Um, there's you run a family business called Banks
yeah.
of.
I used to. It doesn't exist anymore. But I used to.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, no, no. Basically, because once pulp gets put in the bottom drawer and
Yeah.
into deep freeze, you got to do something with yourself, haven't you? So yeah, I just sort of did that really, and
Oh,
yeah, I took it from a bricks and mortar place to completely online, that sort of thing. But you just end up dealing with problems all the time. It was all great when things work nicely. You take orders and stuff gets sent out, but then you just end up dealing with the problems. And I kind of thought I was getting cheesed off with this, but then COVID came along,
yeah.
and obviously, if you're running a restaurant, or cafe, you're not going to want you're going to be shut, so you're not going to need anything. So your business is stuffed basically. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to pack it in. The kids were off the books by this time, which is always a good sign. They didn't need any of Dad's money, so that was all right. So we could, pack it in.
Oh, right. Well, on Google, it still says that you're open 24 hours during the
What,
week, and
does
then.
Google, what does Google know?
Because I was going to say, because it even has the, I was going to ask you if you're very hands-on with this, and
Mm.
do people actually order from you because they know that it's you
No,
who's
I,
doing
I,
the
I,
business?
I never made anything. Never made anything. It was just, it was just basically telling someone to move a box from A to B, basically.
Okay, so you
But
don't do any pottery.
no,
You,
no.
you
But
don't
the
know how to.
premises, the initial premises was where Pulp wrote a lot of songs because we used to rehearse in the upstairs. So a lot of songs of Pulp's sort of mid-90s career were written. Uh,
Yeah.
but I knew every now and again you would sometimes get a strange person stood in the yard, and you just kind of go, "Are you all right?" And they kind of go, "Oh, oh, oh, is this where Pulp did the?" I said, "Yes, yes. Do you want to come and have a look?" And they take them on the tour.
So what's in there now? Is it just empty?
No, it's not empty. It's a car garage.
Oh, I
Mechanics. Yeah.
see. Yeah, and because it just looks really fantastic. Because apparently you also had like a pink Hackney carriage just for, is that for delivery or something, for
No,
delivery of
no,
the
that was
goods?
no, that I did that. That was me and a couple of friends were on a charity. We got roped in to do a charity car run to Monte Carlo.
Oh, okay.
Basically,
All
you had
right.
to buy a really cheap vehicle. You couldn't spend more than £600 on this vehicle, and then you had to drive it to Monte Carlo in the south of France. So we bought a pink taxi, and
Okay.
modified it, and it was such fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a shame because I thought you were still doing that business. Yeah. So
Oh yeah,
when
that's
you're
it.
not,
Yeah,
when you're not.
pottery by day, taxi cab by night. Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, I was because because I'm also gonna ask because it says that there's no minimum order. You can just
Yeah.
like
Oh,
ask
yes.
it,
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
you know that. So
all
it's all gone now. So that's
yeah,
it.
that's all
Well,
boring stuff. Just bear with me. Just bear with me a sec. I've just got some household admin to do. Just bear with me a
yeah,
sec.
yeah,
It's all right. That might work. Right. Sorry. Carry on. Carry on. Just
it's
around this.
okay. No, we're gonna be finishing soon. I've got this four regular questions I ask all our
Yeah.
guests. When you play the drums, do you twirl? Do you?
Uh, I've got. I do have my twirl, but I can only really do that. But I do it. But I
Okay.
can, and this is interesting actually. So this got sent to me the other week. This is actually one of my drumming heroes drumsticks is Paul Cook of the Sex Pistols drumstick, which I guess
Oh,
that's always stays on my desk. So if I'm here doing stuff, I can twiddle away on Paul Cook's drumstick, and it even says, oh, is it Sex Pistols on it as well?
so, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is so good. Do you get starstruck when you
No, not
sing?
really. No, I don't think so. I don't believe in that sort of thing. It's a case of if you see someone who is important to you, like Paul Cook from Sex Pistols. I met him time. My opening words to him was, It's your fault. I'm in this mess because being listening to the Sex Pistols when you're 14, you think this is amazing. I want to be in a punk band. So I said it's your bloody fault. And so he was a lovely bloke, yeah. So no, I think you've just got if you do meet someone who's like your hero, you've just got to sort of seize the moment, and they're
Yeah.
only human beings. In the end of the day, just chuck out your hand and say hi there, nice to meet you. It's what you do.
Well, how do you like if fans of yourself and Paul, are
Yeah,
you okay with your fans going up to you and
yeah,
saying
yeah.
asking for
I haven't got a problem
photos?
as long as they're nice human beings, which Pulp fans are. Yeah, I see no reason. It's nice to be nice. You see.
Yeah,
That's
that
the thing.
is
So, so
yeah.
yeah, I like to be nice. When we played in Japan, me and Canada went out to see the fans after the show and that kind of thing, and they were all dead nice. And I
Yeah.
think it's something if when you're younger and you're into a band and someone takes time to come and say hello, then it's good. So yeah, and what does it cost? You sign a few autographs,
Yeah.
take a few selfies.
Photographs. Yeah.
10 minutes, and usually folks are good. You can have a good laugh with folks.
Is Jarvis Cocker the same?
No,
Is
he's a mardy old git. Oh, yeah. So,
Okay, well, you mentioned Paul Cook as your drumming hero. Have you got any other drumming heroes?
well, if you go back to the sort of the punk rock days, Top Eden, the
Oh
Clash,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely fantastic. What he would do, um, and John Bonham,
Of course,
absolutely,
of course.
the
Yeah,
the best of all. But obviously,
yeah,
growing up with sort of punk rock, classic rock was not seen as the done thing. So you would shun such players. But then you come to realize after a bit that certainly someone like John Bonham is there because he can do some amazingly flash technical stuff, but
yeah,
never seemed to forget that he was playing a song. And so you've got to. I hate it when you see these drummers that are just all over the place, doing all of these kind of stuff and sort of showing off. Because I don't think that necessarily brings anything to the song. You've got to remember that you're playing with three, four, five other folks, and you're trying to make a song. So sometimes you've got to back off.
yeah,
And John Bonham would back off and just sit there, in his pocket playing his groove, that that he's got something straight away in his locker. If he wanted to do something flash, bang, there you go, something super
yeah,
flash. Just that's amazing, and it was great for that. Yeah,
yeah. He's like the the drummer's drummer, because I think like maybe 90% of the guests on Ask the Drummer, every time I ask about drumming heroes, John Bonham will always.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, yeah. And the old Ringo debate. Was Ringo any good? Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What about, have you ever had any drumming accidents or drumming disasters
Well,
in your years of
I,
playing
I'm
drums?
sure drummers out there listening will have all have had the anxiety dream where you are trying to get to your concert and something is always in your way that's preventing you getting there. The car breaks down, you've got lost, you can't find the door. And if you do get to the concert, you're rushing there, and then all of a sudden, the drum kit's all set up in a ridiculous way that you can't play, or it's just in bits, or it's made of jelly, or something like that. I'm sure all drummers have had that anxiety dream. No, so disasters, no, not particularly. You play and things have fallen off and that
Yeah.
type of thing. That's just the way it goes. But thankfully, nothing too disastrous. No,
So,
I've had
no.
to play with a broken finger before, which wasn't particularly pleasant.
Oh,
Twice I've played with a broken. Well, once I played with a broken hand because I fell over. Drummers, eh? Before the gig, so I had to play with a broken. I did the it's called the boxer's injury. You break your knuckle there. So I had to do
oh,
that. That wasn't much fun. And one of the first pulp gigs I played at, I broke this finger
oh gosh.
before again falling over. Who'd have thought it? You know. So yeah, broken finger. That wasn't much fun either. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do
All,
you
all the
share?
bones I've ever broken have been above this wrist. So I've got a plate in my wrist as well from
Oh,
falling
okay.
over.
Do you share your drum kit? Because I've also found out on Google that are you being endorsed by British Drum Co.
British Drum Company, yes. Yeah, over in Stockport.
In Stockport? Yeah, that's
We are
right.
in
So
Stockport.
all your drum kit is from British Drum
Yeah,
Company.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I've recently just been asking drummers about this one. Does it make a difference which
Yes,
make?
because we get it for free.
Oh,
Well, they're a great company, and the drums are fantastic as well. I must say, but well, it always struck me that as the classic irony is when you're learning, when you're struggling, when you've got no money, drums are chuffing expensive. Trying to get some decent stuff, decent cymbals especially, super
yeah.
expensive. As soon as you can actually, when you've got somewhere, you can actually afford them. People give you them for free, and it's just like, yeah, I can pay for them now, but as we all know, I'm solidly a solid Yorkshireman. If someone's giving you something for free, I'm all for it, mate.
Yeah. And do you share it? And say you're the headliners, and then
Good
there's
God,
some
good
support
God,
band.
no.
No.
No, 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 because it's always that thing, isn't it? Uh, back in the day, the spot. So can we use your kit? And you kind of go, yeah, okay, yeah. I promise I won't change any of it. And you kind of go, yeah, please, yeah, don't change any of it. And then you get there and they've changed the height of the snare. Oh, they've moved that. That always will happen. Even if they say till they're blue in the face, I will not change any part of your kit. They will change it.
So you
Guaranteed.
don't. So you don't get to share it.
No, no. Oh, no, 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 no.
All right. Well, we've heard your advice to people or musicians who are wanting to play the guitar. You've said that they need to buy a tuner for their
Yeah.
guitars.
Yes.
Well, what would be your advice to aspiring drummers?
Um, to aspiring drummers, I would say make your own zero rings, which so you often see kids playing snare drums that are really low, tuned really low. I'd say don't be afraid to crank your snare drum up and use a zero ring, which is basically a you can an old drum skin. You can cut the main bit out and then cut another hole out, so you've got like a ring like that. Put that over the top of the snare, and you'll get rid of a lot of ring, and that'll improve your sound. It's super easy. If you've got an old drum skin, you cut a ring out of it, pop that on your snare drum. Super
Well,
easy. You can use it on all your stuff. It'll make your drum sound really good really quickly.
Oh wow, I've not
Yeah.
heard of that before.
Ah, yeah.
Zero ring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
zero. Yeah, or
that
O ring or
something.
zero ring. Yeah, you can buy them at the drum shop at zero rings. But obviously, if you've got an old snare skin, you can just get the scissors and cut it out yourself.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, again, good luck with the tour. And do you
Yes.
want to just invite our friends or viewers to go and
Well,
see you in
no,
June?
because then they'll be saying, "Can we have free tickets?" So no, absolutely no chance.
No.
Yeah, yeah. So we've got a few gigs next summer. We're playing
Yeah.
also over in Spain in Bilbao. I think we're going. Some of these might not have been announced yet, so I have to be careful to not give any
Yeah.
secrets.
Not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, there's some gigs out there, and there's more to be announced, and we're going various places around the
Yeah.
world as well. So again, I can't really tell you exactly where we're going because it might not be announced yet, and I
Yeah.
get really slapped if
Well,
you know.
well, it's all on the Paul social media pages, and I know that you're
I
active.
don't know.
You are active on social media, but only Instagram and Twitter. But you're not on
Well,
Facebook, though, are you?
no, I've stopped doing Twitter because of that twat Elon
Oh,
Musk.
yeah, yeah.
So I've junked that, but I'm on Threads and Blue Sky and trying to do more on Instagram and that kind of thing.
Okay, all right, but not Facebook. You're not on.
No, I sort of steered clear of all social media for a while because I couldn't understand how if you did everything, you'd never get anything done, would you? You'd be constantly on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever. I thought I'd just concentrate on one, so I chose Twitter a few years ago.
Yeah,
And obviously, with Elon Musk turning into the massivest twat in the world, I thought,
yeah,
right, you're done, mate. I'm not doing X and all that shite.
yeah.
So so I went to Threads and Blue Sky, and
That's a
yeah,
boost. Okay.
we can communicate with the fans there.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really
All right.
glad that you said yes, and I really enjoyed that book event, the two book
Oh,
events that we
excellent. Yeah,
did
good. Well,
in
that's
2023.
job
So
done. That's great. Thank you.
hope there'll be more. Is there going to be a part two, or is that it? Like,
Well, if there's part two, it'd be a slim volume, talking about what's
because you've
happening.
already covered most of it. So.
I've covered most of it. Yeah, yeah. It'd
Yeah.
be a pamphlet, I don't know. No,
All
maybe
right.
I don't think so, but hey,
Okay. Well, thank you so much,
no
and
problem.
I hope to see you. Hope to see you some in June.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Match of Kobe. Yeah. I'll give you a
Yeah.
wave. I'll give you a twirl.
Oh yeah. Thank you. All right.
Okay
See
then.
you. Take care always. Yeah.
Bye all.
Bye.
Nice to see you.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye. Oh my God, thank you so much for that. And um I didn't read some of them, but yeah, fascinating conversation from Aiden. Jonathan Preston said that he really enjoyed it, and Neil said it's one of the best. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live. And massive thank you to Nick Banks for saying yes to Ask the Drummer. I still can't believe it. I always say that I feel so blessed that all these drummers are really kind to me, and so thank you. Wow. Please come back next week. Next week though, we're gonna be doing Ask the Drummer on Monday, because I'm gonna be away. No, yeah, I'm gonna be away on Sunday. So uh I don't know what I'm saying now because he's just absolutely amazing. Um yeah, it's gonna be on a Monday for the next 3 weeks. Ask the Drummer is gonna be on a Monday afternoon or Monday evening. So, but please do keep an eye out for the guest announcement post on the Ask the Drummer page. So that's that. And also, I wanted to say happy birthday to Steve Grantley of Stiff Little Fingers and RTZ. He's a wonderful person. Another drummer that I'm yet to see. He's already on Ask Drummer, but I'm yet to meet him in real life. Hopefully someday soon. Right, that's it for me for now. Thank you once again for you know joining us live. and hope to see you all again next week. As always, love music, love life, love, love, love drummers. They're absolutely amazing. Nick Banks, thank you so much. And see you all again next week. Bye for now. Bye.